I want us to be known as a trailblazing city. I want us to be known internationally as that, not just in the state of Arkansas, not just in the U.S. What could that mean for Fort Smith? I mean, dreamer, big picture scale, what could that mean? Other manufacturers, finished manufacturers, well, that'd be transformative. Our economy would look even better than it is right now. Our tax base would grow. I would love to see downtown and the riverfront be vibrant. I mean, I would love to see more businesses come downtown. I would love to see that entire riverfront be full of businesses, of restaurants, of shopping. Could you imagine? I mean, you go to other cities,
right,
and you see their boardwalks, like alongside the river. Why can't that happen here in Fort Smith, Arkansas?
It can.
We're doing some pretty big things here. One of the things that drew me back to Fort Smith, because I told you earlier I left for a while and came back.
Everyone, welcome back. Today I'm joined by Josh Buchfink, the Public Relations Manager for the city of Fort Smith. He's behind much of how Fort Smith communicates with residents in the world, and I'm excited to dive into that.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming. I appreciate you taking time out of your schedule to be here.
Glad to be here, yeah.
So I was just asking you, are you from Fort Smith?
I am not from Fort Smith. I grew up in a small town north of Tulsa, Oklahoma. My parents divorced whenever I was 5, and so I split my time between Tulsa and the small town I grew up in, Collinsville, Oklahoma. If anybody's watching is from Collinsville out there. But yeah, I moved here to Fort Smith for the first time in 2011. About 3 months after my wife and I got married, we packed up and moved to a place that we'd never been to really spent any time in before. So we moved to Fort Smith, stayed here for 5 years. And then we moved back to Tulsa for 3 months, was at Fort Worth for 3 years, I think. And then we were in Northwest Arkansas for a couple of years. And then we moved back here in 2021.
Wow.
So, yeah, a little bit of a windy journey to getting back to Fort Smith. But all in all, I think Fort Smith is what we would call our home, because it's where whenever we first got married, where we really established our family, where our friends who are like family are. So this is home to us in a lot of ways.
Gotcha. We've had similar things happen in our journey, like little stints here for like 2 or 3 months and then moving from way across one state to the next. So I understand.
How long have you been in Fort Smith now? Then?
We've been in Fort Smith for about 1.5 years now.
Okay.
And we're building and planting roots.
Nice.
So we have no intention to move.
I bet that feels good for me, it felt really good after all the moving around and my kids. I was like, man, what am I doing to my kids moving around this much? So it feels good for me. I'm sure it does.
It feels like you can just like take a deep breath.
Yeah.
So you're not anticipating the next move, literally.
Yeah,
so,
for sure.
Yeah. It's
now,
great.
I'm always looking to like move houses. I mean, I'll probably move houses while I'm here several times.
Listen, Josh, I know someone great to help you with that.
That's what I hear. Yeah, that's what I hear.
Yeah, I'd love to help you with that. So let's start with you. And we already did some of it, but what led you to public relations and eventually into this role with the city?
Yeah, so I moved around a lot because I was a pastor for a church called Life Church. So I actually started at a Life Church Network church in a small town just west of Fort Smith called Roland, Oklahoma. So I was in Roland for 5 years at a church called the Bod Church, and eventually decided I wanted to apply for Life Church. And they moved me to Tulsa, to Fort Worth, to Northwest Arkansas, and moved back here to be closer to our friends who are like family to us. We all had kids about the same age, and we wanted to be close to them and raise them together. So we moved back here, and that was probably the craziest year of my life, and we can unpack it or we can just leave it. But it was a very crazy year, and I decided it was time for me to make a change out of ministry. So I started looking at a bunch of different jobs, and honestly, did not think in a million years that I would be the public relations manager for the city of Fort Smith. But I applied, and I guess I interviewed well enough, and I got the job, and here I am almost 3 years later as the public relations manager, and I wouldn't change it for the world. I think there's a lot of similarities between being a pastor and doing public relations. You have to have empathy. You have to be a good listener. You have to genuinely care for other people. And I've carried a lot of that stuff from ministry into my current role now. Crisis management. I ran social media as part of my job previously. So all of those, knowing how to communicate, all of those things I've carried over into this current job. So I'm exactly where I need to be, right now until the good Lord decides to tell me to do something else, and I'll gladly follow. So.
Well, I can see your heart for giving and serving as well.
Yeah.
Being helpful in your current role as well as your previous role as pastor. So, are you still going? There's a Life Church here, right?
There is.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is here in Fort Smith. I'm not going to Life Church, but I'm going to the network church that I first started at in ministry.
Still in Roland?
It's still in Roland. Okay. I actually serve in the kids ministry there. So 4th, 5th, and 6th graders, if any of my Loop class is watching, I love doing that every single week. I love getting to pour and invest in them, watching the next generation grow as followers of Jesus. So.
That's perfect. We've gone there a few times. We're still hopping around to see exactly where we want our church home to be. It's hard whenever you relocate somewhere when you had a really good established area that your kids were used to and everything. So
where were you before?
So we've kind of gone all around, but we've spent a lot of time in Hot Springs. So we were church-wise New Life Church. So
I love New Life Church.
Yeah, Corey and Tanner are the pastors. That's husband and wife.
Yeah,
there, and we loved them and their family. And so coming here, just trying to find that area where you feel you belong and your kids really enjoy that as well. So I'm going to have to check out Roland. So
yeah, and I have some friends at New Life Church here. It's a fantastic church. Yeah. Really, to me, it doesn't matter exactly where you go to church as long as you're connected somewhere and you have that community around you. That's what it's really about.
Well, sorry to get off on that, but I was really talking about, you serving and giving and I can see where one led you to the next.
Yeah.
So when you joined, your goal was to unify the city's brand and boost communication efforts. What were some of your early priorities?
Yeah, so whenever I first started at the city, they were already somewhat undergoing a complete website change, which is a massive undertaking. We're talking 600 plus pages of website with different copy for each department, and then knowing is this copy completely accurate? Is it timeless? Evergreen? So we're going through all this stuff. So a big priority was completing that website, and then also growing our email database. I think a lot of people don't realize that the city puts out a ton of information every single day, whether it's street closures or your trash service modifications for holidays or public safety alerts. All of those things and a lot more can be easily received by email or via text. And so I wanted to make sure people knew about that. It's called Gov Delivery. So we grew. Whenever I started, we had about 4,000 subscribers on Gov Delivery. Now we're up to 18,000. So that was a big priority of mine because I want people to know what's going on in their city. I think building trust is very important, and you build trust by sharing information. And so I wanted to make sure that people had the information that they need to stay connected with the city of Fort Smith and to know how to report things to us as well. So
it feels like more transparency whenever people are aware. So I guess you'll be having 18,001 after this.
That's right.
So
you haven't signed up. Oh, yeah, this is a win then. If anything, we got you signed up for Gov Delivery.
Yeah.
So.
Well, hopefully we'll have some listeners that need to sign up as well. So you oversee social media content, the website, as you just discussed, and more. What does a typical day look like for you managing all those channels?
Man, what's a typical day? You know what I mean?
I don't have a clue.
It really does vary because, on top of the social media management and all that, I do media relations for the city. So anytime a media request is made, it comes through my department. So yesterday, I took an impromptu interview about an award ceremony that's happening in November. And those types of things happen all the time. So I just never really know what my day is going to look like. I try to plan it out, and I have some set meetings, here and there. But it seems like it's just constantly being derailed. So it's being flexible is a big part of the job, and knowing that anything can happen at any time, kind of trying to be prepared for those things, which can be difficult. There's a lot of different things happening in the city on any given day. There's water leaks being fixed. There's, streets being repaved. There's parks that are having construction done on them currently. You name it, tons of things are happening. And I have to kind of have a little bit of a pulse on every single one of those things. Now, am I an expert in any area? No, not really, but I do know the experts, and I have to call on them all the time, and they're always very open and helping me get the information I need. And there are times where I'll do the interviews. There are times where I'll send out a statement. Then there are times where I'll ask other people to send me in something, or I'll let them know, see if they're available for an interview. So it really can change from day to day. And some days I do my own podcast. So Discover Fort Smith, we record podcasts once a month, and I'm shameless plug here for Discover Fort Smith as well. So really it varies. There is no typical day. And I don't know about you, but I love things like that. I don't have to have a set schedule. It kind of excites me to not know exactly what's going on throughout the day. I don't know, maybe I'm pressure prompted or something, but I love that kind of thing. So
maybe, yeah. No, I'm an avid watcher for Discover Fort Smith. I love y'all's podcast, and a lot of the topics that y'all cover and the guests that you have.
Yeah,
I love the one that y'all did at the library.
With
recently
Tiffany
as well. Yeah. So y'all are great at that.
It's pretty cool because a lot of times I just get to have conversations with my friends too. Like Tiffany, we got to know each other through Leadership Fort Smith, which is a program the Chamber. You're in Leadership Fort Smith, aren't you? Mm-hmm. Okay, so
I missed you by a year.
Yeah, so a lot of those people are my friends. I met them in Leadership Fort Smith, and we just get to have a conversation on camera for a little bit. It's pretty cool to be able to do that with people that I know and respect in the community. So, and now with you, but not through Leadership Fort Smith, but pretty neat how it's a full circle moment. So.
I do really enjoy the people I'm getting to know during Leadership Fort Smith and the impact they have in our community as well.
Yeah.
It's great.
Oh yeah, it's awesome. It's really, the knowledge you gain is one thing, but the relationships you get through Leadership Fort Smith, it makes it completely worth the time you expend, because those relationships will last decades. And so that's been my favorite part of the whole experience. So I'm so glad you get to do that as well.
Remind me, what did y'all call your class? Was it the epic?
The epic. Yeah, we were the most epic class.
Okay.
And
but we're beating you by being legendary, just so you know.
Yeah. Well, it's like,
I'm joking.
It's like one-upsmanship, I'm just try it. And I think my class was like super not competitive with each other, but we wanted to be the winners, so
I think that's part of everyone who gets
leader,
involved in that, right? Yeah. That competitiveness is just there.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So that's fun to be able to relate on that. So in an era of always on news and social media, how do you balance timely responses with thoughtful messaging?
Yeah, that's difficult. And honestly, there are times whenever I've said things and I'm like, man, I wish I could re-say that, or I wish I had given more context to this situation. So it's difficult to do that. I know that people deserve to know things as quickly as possible, but I also know that if I just give information quickly, I may not give the full picture. So it is a balance, and it involves making sure that I involve other people in the conversation as well. I mentioned earlier, I don't know everything that's going on at all times in the city as much as I would like to. So I've got to call on our parks director. I've got to call on our water utilities director and streets department and ask them questions and try to gain a better understanding, the fuller picture before I respond. And I know some news outlets may not like the speed of that, but I'd rather give an accurate, full, complete answer than just something swift, without the full picture involved. So,
well, people need to also take into consideration that the people that you're having to call on to get the information from have full-time jobs as well.
Yeah.
So they are also trying to get back to you in a timely fashion.
I imagine they see my name on the screen and they kind of roll their eyes, and I get it, and I get it, right? Because I'm disrupting their day. Like, I live for the disruptions. We just mentioned that, but they don't always. And so well,
that's not what I meant.
Yeah,
I meant just sometimes it takes a second to take that break in whatever they're doing to get back to you. So for you to gather all that information in a timely manner also depends on other people's schedules.
For sure.
So,
yeah, it does. Yeah. Yeah. And sometimes it's not as quick as even I would like, but you're right. They have other things going on. I am oftentimes not priority number one. They may have an emergency repair that they're needing to make in that moment, and all of their attention needs to go there, rightly so. And so, it's a difficult thing sometimes. And there have been times where members of the media have called me and said, "Hey, where are you at on this?" And I have to be honest, like, I'm trying to get the information for you. I just don't have it all right now. And I would rather give you accurate, complete information than just, taking a stab at it. You know what I mean? Or giving you guesswork. And sometimes I can get pretty close with my guess, but I don't want to just guess. I want to be accurate because people deserve true, accurate information. So,
and I'm trying to back you on that. Just so we're
I appreciate.
Clear.
I appreciate.
I'm not taking a
a
dig at your responses.
Oh gosh, yeah, and some people do, and that's okay.
No, Josh,
that's okay.
That's not what I was doing. No, I was just saying you trying to do it relies on other people getting back to you, and I think that as a community and whoever the news outlets are hounding you, they need to consider that as well.
Yeah.
So it's hard sometimes.
I will say this. I have a really good relationship with most reporters in the area, and everybody is really understanding. What I know is that they all have bosses that are trying to get them to get their stuff in at they have a daily show that they're trying to meet the schedule of. They have a timeline, a deadline, a hard deadline for a lot of these things that they're trying to meet. So me knowing that, having that empathy for them goes a long way. Them having the empathy for me goes a long way. And a lot of that rapport has been built over time. Sometimes it's a little more difficult because a lot of reporters in our area are moving on to other stations quickly because, several of our stations are more or less training stations. So they're training them, younger reporters, to go out to other stations. So sometimes it's a little more difficult, but then you have your staples like Darren Bobb, who's been here forever. Brett Rains is a guy in the area from 4029 that I've just built a really good relationship with over time. And we try to help each other out, really. So
yeah, that's great that you are able to have that relationship with them as well. So one of your first big tasks with the city's website overhaul and a more cohesive brand voice, how do you see that shaping Fort Smith's external image moving forward?
Yeah. So one of the things that we implemented since I've been the public relations manager is a slogan. So we're Arkansas's Trailblazing City. And I'm trying to get that out on as many things as possible. We actually have a video series that's up right now where we're showcasing how we are Arkansas's Trailblazing City. And I think a lot of people have forgotten that we started as pioneers with our first fort here in Fort Smith, and we're continuing pioneering going forward. Things like the Arkansas Colleges of Health Education, Peak Innovation Center. Our Boys and Girls Club is amazing. It's really exemplary among other Boys and Girls Clubs in the state. So we have soon to come Fort Kids Children's Museum. We have the U.S. Marshals Museum here. So all of these things, like ways that we're blazing a trail with our history, but also with our innovation going forward, like the Peak Innovation Center I mentioned. So I'm trying to keep that on the forefront of people's minds. And we're doing that through videos. You're going to see some different promos next year regarding how we're Arkansas's Trailblazing City, and that's my main focus is letting people know we're doing some pretty big things here. Some things coming up in this area. We've always been a manufacturing community, but like Amazon's building a warehouse here, $15 million warehouse here. Yes. That's going to bring tons of jobs to the area. The Foreign Military Sales Pilot Training Mission is here in Fort Smith. That is a huge deal. I just recently got back from a trip to Washington, D.C., and it's one thing to hear about it here in Fort Smith, about the foreign pilots coming here. It's another thing to go to our nation's capital and to hear from our congressional delegation and to hear from the State Department how big of a deal this was to come to Fort Smith, Arkansas.
Yeah.
It's not just U.S., this is international. We're going to have hundreds of families here over time training, and the latest here, Finland will be here. They've already got some Finnish folks here right now. Finland will be starting training here early next spring. We're going to have Germany, Romania, Sweden, Poland's been here. Singapore is going to be here for a long-term mission. And several other countries will be here in Fort Smith, Arkansas training. And not just them, their families are going to be here. They're also bringing support staff. So it's not just pilots. It's also the mechanics learning how to work on these jets. It's all so. I mean, if that's not an example of Trailblazing City, I don't know what is. So I'm excited for that, and I want to remind people, like, keep that at the forefront of people's minds going forward, because there are great things happening, but we haven't always done a great job of showcasing those, of putting a spotlight on those great things happening in our community. That's why we're doing the Discover Fort Smith podcast. So, that I don't know if that answers your question totally.
No, it does. I mean, you're showcasing the history of Fort Smith, but also the modernization of a lot of things that are occurring at this time as well. One of my neighbors is one of the Finland liaisons.
Oh, and, cool. Yeah. And people
they're amazing. He's here with his family.
People don't think about, it's a whole group of people. It's not just people flying jets. No. There's so much more to it than that. Mm-hmm. And they're going to be building, we're going to see cranes in the very near future at Ebbing Air National Guard Base. And you're going to see cranes because they're expanding. Huge buildings are going in out there. Mm-hmm. And whenever you hear the words $1 billion economic impact, that's not just the families coming in. That's the building, that's the infrastructure that's going in out there that's going to have that impact on our area, because they're going to try to use local contractors as much as possible. And so, man, I'm so excited to see how Fort Smith kind of morphs over the next decade to 15 years with this foreign military sales mission here.
And I know this really doesn't have to do with public relations, but I mean, we have the Bass Pro Shop that is coming, right?
Oh, yeah.
It's already under construction as well. Yeah. So,
that is public relations.
I mean, it's bringing jobs, yes, but
good
I
paying
mean,
jobs too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can't remember the number. I think it was like $25 an hour was the average salary, or average starting pay, which is awesome. And I don't know if you've seen it, but they tore off half the old Best Buy building that was there. They're going to expand that area. It's going to be great. So no, those types of things are super exciting and things we need to continue to highlight, that I need to continue to highlight, so that residents don't forget how great Fort Smith is. One of the things that drew me back to Fort Smith, because I told you earlier I left for a while and came back, was the people here. And the warm welcome we received whenever we were here. We quickly established friendships that became like family, not because we're special, but because this area is special. And I think that's not a unique story to me. I think a lot of people have experienced that too. Like, hey, come on over, let's have dinner together, or let's go out and do something together. That's a common thing, and that's really rare in bigger, especially bigger communities. So I lived in Fort Worth for a while, and we found people to hang out with, and we have friends there for sure. But it was more difficult to connect with a lot of people there because there's just so much going on at all. It's so busy. And here there's great things happening, but we also have a slower pace of life.
Right.
And I love that. I talk slow typically, so it matches the way I speak. But so we're super excited. I love that Fort Smith is our home, and I love that my kids are gonna grow up in this area.
Me too. We've had a similar experience too. Having lived in other areas as well, it's been a warm, welcoming, inviting community here. So for anybody that is looking for another place to move, here you go.
Yeah, this is the place.
Yeah.
And
Shameless plug.
we know a realtor.
Cost of living is good too. So when controversies or challenging topics arise, how do you approach public communication and transparency to the city? We kind of covered it a little bit already. Mm-hmm.
I think just being honest with people. People can tell when you're not being truthful. I assume that people are savvy, that people are smart going into the conversation, not assume that people don't know what's going on. So just trying to be honest with people and share what's going on transparently, but with the full context. So there's a way to do that, I think, without degrading other people. There's a way to do that without blame shifting. And so I try to do that as much as possible. Where can and ultimately I set the tone for this. Where can I accept the blame whenever it's needed? And then where can I also share the full story alongside that? So it's not just saying, I'm wrong. It's also, I'm wrong. We did this thing. We made this mistake. But here's the whole story surrounding that as well. Not that it's the right thing that's happened, but here's the whole story. And I think a lot of people would be angry about something called the consent decree, which is our sewer infrastructure issues here in the city. There's more lately water infrastructure discussions in the city. And I think people have a right to be upset about those things. But they also need to understand that we're not just sitting on our hands waiting for other people to make positive change or waiting for other people to make those fixes that are necessary. We're actively working towards those changes. And so my job is to communicate, yes, we are sorry that this is happening. None of us want this to happen, but here's the full picture. We're getting this revenue to build this infrastructure that's needed. We're not, every single month, we're putting together things that go before the board of directors, construction contracts for large-scale sewage infrastructure in the city. And so letting people know, yeah, you can be angry, but I mean, how much good does that do you long term? We're going to look forward and continue to make progress on these issues. So I think that's the biggest thing, is just making sure people know that we're aware that they're angry, or we're aware that we made a mistake, but we're not going to just dwell there. Like, we're going to move forward.
That's a good way to put it too. And I mean, honestly, I can't see where you or anybody would try to really not tell the full truth.
Yeah.
And sometimes stories are developing, like you learn more as you go.
Right.
So it's not necessarily that the full transparency wasn't there. Mm-hmm. It's that more facts have come to light,
right?
As well.
And I've been, and I don't know, Joe may have to edit this out, but I've been poked fun of before. Why? For saying, to my knowledge, X, Y, and Z happened. But that's all I have, mm-hmm. is what I know, and I try to be as honest with what I know as possible. And I think people, if we sat down and had a conversation, they would understand that I'm not, I hate lying. Like, it is my least, if I get a sense somebody's lying to me, it is a righteous anger burns within me against something like that. So I think there are times where I have said things as honestly as possible in the moment, and then people have said, well, he said, to my knowledge. what does that even mean? Like, that must not be the full picture. What are they hiding from us? It's like, no, I just know that things can change.
Right.
And they often do. And whenever I get more knowledge, I'm going to share that with you. You know what I mean?
So do you need to finish that sentence that way? To my knowledge at this time.
Yeah.
When I receive more knowledge, information, I will share it all.
And I do. But, it's just, it's an easy target for people,
Yeah.
So
I can't imagine. And it's hard. And I mean, now I know you were a previous pastor, but if people truly knew who you were, I think that they'd be able to see you don't want to tell stories and not the full truth.
And even that, okay, so pastors are all over the news for scandals.
That's true, Josh.
For things right now.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't even know if that gives me a great reputation all the time.
Maybe we shouldn't. I'm joking with you. So from your perspective, how much does good communication impact civic trust? We're talking about this, resident engagement and growth.
So, we've kind of mentioned this, right? Mm-hmm. So being transparent builds trust. And so the more transparent we can be, the better off we're going to be. And, we recently got back from a trip to DC. I mentioned that earlier. And we got back, we immediately got something called a FOIA request, FOIA, Freedom of Information Act. So basically every document that the city has, really every text message, email, all of that stuff is a public document. It is available for the public. If you requested it, I would give it to you. We have a deadline. In Arkansas, it's 3 business days to give those things to you. So we've already gotten requests for a lot of those things. The speed at which we respond to those requests, which 3 business days is pretty quick, when you're trying to get documents together, emails and all that. The speed at which we respond to those things makes a difference. I'm trying to think of the word. The fullness at which we respond to those things makes a big difference. And just sharing those things openly. Director Neil Martin, one of our city directors, we've started gathering this information. He posted it to social media today, and he showed the breakdown of all that we spent on this trip to DC, because that's what people were asking about. And that really should be open to people, for people to see. We're using taxpayer money. Mm-hmm. We're using resources that the residents have a vested interest in. And so, those things should be made available to the public, and we should be transparent about it. And I don't have any qualms with that. It's just sometimes trying to get all the information together can be cumbersome, difficult. But, we do it, and I'm glad to do it, because I want to build trust between residents and the city. And I feel like, especially whenever I started, and I don't know that's gotten a ton better, but I feel like there's been a rift between the city and its residents. And my goal is to try to close that gap as much as possible. Am I always succeeding at it? 100% no, I'm not. But I'm trying to succeed at it, and I want to give people the answers that they desire, even whenever it's not always in the best interest of me personally. But as long as I'm giving people the information they need or desire, then I'm doing my job, and I'm helping build that trust and that rapport with people around me. So I hope I don't get like a ton of FOIA requests after this. But I'm sure, but that's par for the course. We get a ton.
Just
anyway.
Follow the social media.
Yeah, that's right.
Put it up there.
That's right.
And,
that's right.
No, I'm joking. If you look ahead 5 years, how do you want Fort Smith's reputation, both locally and beyond, to be defined?
Yeah, I want us to be known as a trailblazing city. Mm-hmm. And we are already doing a lot of these things. But like I mentioned, we've not done a great job of selling ourselves, of marketing ourselves. And I want us to be known internationally as that, not just in the state of Arkansas. not just in the U.S., internationally. And I truly mean that because we have international allies coming to train here. And so what could that mean for Fort Smith? I mean, dreamer, big picture scale, what could that mean? That could mean other manufacturers, Finnish manufacturers. We already have some German manufacturers here. Umarex gun manufacturers are here. Swedish manufacturers, all these different countries. What if they had big manufacturing operations here in Fort Smith? What would that look like for our city? Well, that'd be transformative. Our economy would look even better than it is right now. Our tax base would grow. But even aside from that, that's the less sexy side. Like that's manufacturing, which is awesome for our economy.
I mean, jobs and everything here.
But the sexy side of it is I would love to see downtown and the riverfront be vibrant. I mean, I would love to see more businesses come downtown, and my friend Amanda Hager is doing an incredible job with that. She's got some ideas with like business incubator ideas. She's got some storefront revitalization ideas happening right now, and she's working hard to make that happen. But I would also like to pair that with riverfront revitalization. I call it a riverfront revival, right? I would love to see that entire riverfront be full of businesses, of restaurants, of shopping. Could you imagine? I mean, you go to other cities,
right,
and you see their boardwalks like alongside the river. Why can't that happen here in Fort Smith, Arkansas?
It can.
And we need people to step up and make it happen. You know what I mean? That is excellent real estate over there. It's a blank canvas right now, and there's really a ton that can be done. And I am certain that as time progresses, as more and more people flock to our community, that we're going to have people invest in that part of town and watch it grow and become vibrant. I mean, there's already one of the largest music festivals in Arkansas is right down there, Peacemaker Festival, and you kind of get a glimpse. Once a year, you get a glimpse of what the riverfront could look like. And so I'm excited.
I would like for it to be a little bit more lively.
Yes, me too. Yeah.
I'm kind of upset. I thought that I don't know. I got a little mixed up on dates. I thought the Peacemaker Festival was not this coming weekend.
Yes.
Sorry, I just shook our microphones, but I thought it was the following weekend. So I'm hoping I can catch a little bit in the evening this upcoming weekend. We've got a couple of things we have to do.
And we bring it, I say we. I have nothing to do with it. Peacemaker Festival is a nonprofit, and they do incredible things. They've given so much to our community. But they're bringing in Stephen Wilson Jr., I mean, he's nominated for a ton of awards this year. Sam Barber's coming this year. So they're bringing some big acts, some big names here to Fort Smith, and it has been for years. I got to go to the very first Peacemaker, and I've been, kind of going. Even whenever I lived away, I came back for Peacemaker because it's such a cool experience, and I love that kind of music. I'm really into like Red Dirt and rock and roll stuff. So anyway, so I can go on and on about Peacemaker and how great but
just in general, a more lively area downtown would be great for your vision for the next 5 years.
Yeah,
so.
I think downtown. I think manufacturing. I think Chaffee's expanding like crazy, and I think the next 5 years of Chaffee looks a lot different even than the previous 5 years because I think they've had a lot of things in the works, right? But now's the shift to these ideas are now being acted upon and things are happening in this area. So
there's a new harps coming up out there.
Yeah.
And
for sure.
Taco Bell, I think, is coming up. Maybe that might have changed. I don't know.
I think I saw, it's not quite Chaffee, but, Brahms is over by Ben Guerin too. So things are coming in. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So for listeners who care about improving how their city communicates, what advice or ideas would you share? Yeah.
Follow us on social media. We're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, we're on X, we're on LinkedIn. So follow us. We put a ton of information out there. And then if you don't want like all the information. If you don't want to be drinking from a fire hydrant all the time with city information, I suggest signing up for Gov Delivery because you can pick what you want. Say you only want to get trash service modification alerts, you can just get that on there. But we're constantly putting out press releases, public safety alerts, parks events, because our parks department does a ton in the city, construction updates, all that stuff is done through Gov Delivery, and you can pick, I want to know about board meetings that are coming up, or I want to know when this commission meets. Well, you'll get an email or a text every time we put that information out. So I highly encourage people to sign up for that, fortsmithar.gov/updates. Pick and choose what you want every month and change it as often as you want, and stay connected to what's going on in the city, because it's a lot, and I want people to know about it.
Like a lot. Yeah, and people, I assume you can create a folder and then just have it all go into there. So if you want to get it all, and then you can just take your time to read through everything, so you can be more informed. So I appreciate you coming on today and kind of pulling back a curtain on what it's like to manage public relations for our city. And I do a lot of community tours, and I always tell them to follow Discover Fort Smith, because y'all got such great information for people. But now I'm going to kind of send them over to all your City of Fort Smith socials so they can get a little bit more informed on what's going on in the area and choose if they want this to be where they relocate. Yeah,
you can't say there's nothing to do in Fort Smith. No. If you follow Discover Fort Smith, I mean, they're constantly putting stuff out to do. And so, whenever people say there's nothing to do, I have a simple answer now. It's just follow Discover Fort Smith. You're going to see that there's something to do, probably today. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So, yeah.
Y'all put out your calendar too.
Yeah.
On 2 weeks before each month, correct?
Yes, that's right.
So, and as Josh mentioned, he's got an amazing podcast with great guests. So y'all tune in. And thank you again for coming.
Thank you for having me.